However, what the thought process is here, he has to go towards an AD jungler. Viego's banned out. Graves is obviously banned out. The Kayn has been taken away. You could look to something I was talking about last game, something like a Kindred or even an Olaf. Hecarim can work. Wukong is a bit of a throwback. We haven't been seeing much Wukong at all. But this is very heavy dive here now. It's going to be on the Monkey and the Fat Man in the top lane to really be stopping these MF ults.
Yeah, a lot of knockups available, but this is certainly a blast from the past. Let's see what Gen.G do to round out their composition as we're looking for Chovy's pick, potentially, unless he's playing Camille mid, but we've seen that do not so well.
Yeah, we don't know yet. Wondering what the final round is going to be, or there is still so many different directions.
Oh, yes,
Azil! Thank you very much!
Do you know what's the beauty of this? It is Lehends solo AP on the Yuumi. And a lot of people might be saying, oh, there's no magic damage. Believe me, there is way too much magic damage.
Well, and especially since the Yuumi changes, most players are doing Qmax lumens, right? So it's not atypical anymore.
And I want to highlight, in case that you're not a follower of the LCK, Chovy's Yone is part of one of the most legendary games that he's ever played domestically, which was a game where I don't even remember what his KDA was, but it was like he was 3 samurais on the Rift all at once. And the amount of Chovy chants that were heard that game and the Chovy yell was immeasurable. And especially combined with the Sejuani, like this topside from Gen.G is disgusting.
I mean, I feel like it's a monster gap here in the draft here for Gen.G. I do think when you're looking over at the other side, there's incredible playmaking. But there's going to be so much pressure put on, especially by this topside quadrant here from Gen.G. The triple melee topside with Sejuani, is going to be incredibly threatening. So we're going to have to see, how well Damwon can really withstand the onslaught that is going to be there. Because once Yone gets a couple levels, you have that Spirit Unleashed, Spirit Unbound, whatever it's called, the E. You can go for it and really take these aggressive trades onto Azir. And Azir doesn't really have a lot of recourse. You kind of just have to disengage every single time.
Yeah, and if you've been watching any Champions Queue, Chovy has been playing a whole bunch of games on the Yone as well. But I do want to have a look into the jungle here because, of course, the Sejuani for Peanut is what he decimated T1 with in the final. This is a whole lot of comfort for Gen.G across the board, to be perfectly honest.
Even going back to yesterday's matches, we saw both Wei and Owner having incredible games with the Sejuani, especially compared or combined with very, very strong lanes. And overall, this Wukong to me really feels like a Hail Mary, whereas the Kayn was a very strong, and I really liked it, counter pick in a specific situation. This Wukong kind of feels like we need something AD. Kindred doesn't feel that good. So like overall, where are you gonna go? Especially with the Graves being banned out every single time. And if this is the best that Doran can do on blue side, you got to be a little bit worried.
I mean, to me, it feels like there's not really a lot of ganking options here besides maybe top lane. Like, that's the only place you really have much gank assist whatsoever. But Doran is not disrespecting, and it's not as though he's playing, the Ignite TP Camille. He is playing Flash, and he's going to be able to have the answer as long as he's not hookshotting aggressively. And honestly, you have a winning bot lane and a winning mid lane, so there's no reason for Doran to do anything aggressive. He should just chill and farm up on the top side and wait for the victory screen, basically.
Yeah, or just wait for Peanut to turn up, because that gank combo is absolutely fantastic. Yes. So we'll see what is going to happen here as Chovy charging up the queue, as Yone's do. Joy heads on forward, and this is an opportunity, like in the very early game, for ShowMaker to get some pressure as the double up here. A lot of fighting, Gen.G and Damwon here. But probably not going to see too much action in the early stages, although that was a lot of damage.
That's a painful one, and I agree with you, Azil. The way that this bot lane went last time around was, I think, the biggest issue for DWG, and the reason why they went so ham. Because obviously you want to scrap, you want to skirmish with the draft that they had, but at times it felt like they kind of went over the top. And you're going to be in a very similar position this time. I do want to highlight, though, that Lehends is going for the Guardian Yuumi here, so a lot more defensive power.
Yeah, absolutely. And perhaps the read on the Damwon side from their bot lane is, hey, it wasn't the matchup, we just misplayed.
We made a mistake.
And if they feel that they really made a mistake, maybe they can run it back and really showcase it to us here.
Quite like it, as Chovy and ShowMaker laning up against one another. A little bit of a battle towards the top side, but just some casual biffo between the Metal Legs lady and the fat guy. Having a look here towards Chovy, down to about 50%, but might be baiting ShowMaker in. Oh, this would be very, very dangerous. I think ShowMaker knows there's the Flash Arctic Assault, though, and the Winter's Wrath is going to be able to get that permafrost. ShowMaker, first blood, the Unbound Soul gets Chovy back to the minion wave.
It's beautiful there. Chovy hits 3. As soon as he hits 3, Peanut has already arrived at a full topside clear. And with that E available, the Soul Unbound just gets in. And Peanut, with that Q flash, interrupting the dash back there from ShowMaker, gave it everything they needed.
Really cleanly executed. Kenyon immediately trying to go for a counterplay, but
Chovy.
Yeah, Chovy's there.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get first room.
Gonna be able to get out, but not gonna get anything on the punish, because that might have been an angle to at least do a little bit in terms of getting gold back. Still gonna set up here for the blue buff.
Yeah, and I think it's his, because we see no smite on Peanut. He has smite, but we'll see if the bot lane is going to roam. You know, they are locked in there. Kellin was threatening the roam up, so Canyon will at least take away the blue buff, but of course, much greater spoils on the side of Gen.G. You know, getting this counter matchup here for Chovy, getting the first blood. Early Vamp Scepter is going to be very problematic here, and it's just a beautiful gank from Peanut. Q, flash, interrupts the dash. So now, even though the flash is going to be committed here from ShowMaker, you just can't create enough space because the stun from the passive proc there is going to stack up immediately.
Even though he dodges the knockup from Chovy, it's still the amount of autos that you can get out with the Yone combined with the Sejuani, which is one of the reasons why we have seen Sejuani do so well as a jungler. There's so many strong melee, mid, and top laners at the moment in the current meta, and Sejuani enables them like no other.
Absolutely, and for this Azir versus Yone matchup, so much of it for Azir is about bullying in the early levels before they really get a foothold in lane. But the fact that you get an almost instant Vamp Scepter now means you're going to be able to shrug off so much of the poke. And every time Soul Unbound is available here for Chovy, he can go forward, he can take this trade, and it starts getting worse and worse and worse for ShowMaker on the Azir because you have no sustain as the Azir. You go through your potions, and then every time you're taking one of these trades, he's going to heal back up afterwards with that Vamp Scepter, and you're going to be threatening that all in.
2-for-1 special on the bubble, but the Make It Rain comes through as well. The counter damage is fantastic as the flash comes through from deokdam. Ruler just standing his ground. Does have to use the heal, but that is it.
And this is the power, as, it does get tagged, but there's no burst available of Yuumi. This is why this pick is so highly coveted. If you can win all-ins like that, what do you do?
Absolutely. It's incredibly difficult. And to me, that just shows the mastery of this bottom lane that Ruler and Lehends have. They understood that, yes, they are at lower health, but deokdam has spent all his spells there. There was no more damage remaining.
Canyon.
So cheeky. Canyon's going to cancel the back, but still being very, very patient. And deokdam's gone home. Lehends is going to face check. They're going to see whether they can burst him down. The bubble is just beautiful, and the cat is denied. That is the first kill. Damonki on the board.
And that's pivotal because without that, Gen.G just have another free card to snowball that bot lane, deny any opportunity from Damonkia, and Wukong, even though he has been nerfed repeatedly, do want to reiterate that if you are an app and your only tool that you have to stay away from is flash, it will be very, very hard for you to reliably create distance between you and Wukong. A pick that for what feels like the better part of this entire year was a top-tier backline dive pick.
I mean, it's a great kill for Canyon, but at the same time, it's not really going to help to equalize this 2v2 very much. You know, deokdam wasn't there. The kill went onto the Wukong. No summoners were spent on the Gen.G side, so they're still going to be feeling strong in this 2v2. And Doran, anytime that passive is up on the Camille, you want to take these short, chippy trades. But the sustain on the side, Nuguri!
Yeah, Nuguri going for it here towards the top side. Doran wanting to answer back. Precision Protocol available, but doesn't want to fight against this Gragas, who's looking very aggressive.
Oh, do note, no help coming here for Doran, and we do see that Canyon is making his way up. Doesn't have ultimate quite yet, at the very least. Nuguri going to be able to pick up a plate. But what this does open up, with Doran being stuck underneath his turret, is the opportunity for Canyon to try and find a lead in the jungle 1v1.
But look at bot lane. Peanut down here. You know, they know he's not up on the red buff, so they may suspect something.
Yeah.
There is cleanse available for deokdam.
We're looking to be able to walk out of the Aqua Prison. Still, Peanut patient as well. It's exactly what Canyon was, but no, gonna go in, not gonna find the Arctic Assault as Kellin decides to continue walking back towards his turret. That's gonna save his life. Now Ruler wanting to get that cannon and does manage to do so.
Canyon gonna get a lot more on the top side though. The scuttle spawn stop, he takes away the red buff, he takes away the scuttle here. You can see trying to get some vision, you know, into the enemy jungle there. They want to keep Nuguri safe in this matchup to be able to have push, to be able to chip away at Doran. You know, that is one of the lanes that we talked about him being able to attack, so they really want to make sure Nuguri is feeling safe to do so.
And overall, even with the early vamp step that Chovy was able to pick up, we do see that in the early levels, ShowMaker is able to generate a lot of pressure regardless. And I want to go back to this bot lane, because even with how much attention there has been, in terms of early game, it does feel a little bit like the read from deokdam and Kellin, at least for now, was correct in that we didn't see everything that happened in the early laning phase. I know that as early as level 3-4, they were already getting heavily shoved in by the Yuumi and the MF, never really able to recuperate at any point. And at the very least, this time around, you're able to mitigate. Is it enough against the Yuumi? I'm going to say not really, but at the very least, we do see that there is a little bit more pressure here on the bot side of the map.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it is looking a lot better for them. It is a gold advantage here for Damwon. You know, they're up 8 CS in the bot lane, not massive, but at the very least, you know, they're not down 20-30 as they had ended up in that last game. And we do know the power of the MF double up, right? And sometimes all it takes in these lanes for a lane to go bad is you get that pass-through Q on a minion, you get the kill, you get that bonus damage from that Q, and you lose a couple hundred health, and all of a sudden you can't threaten it all in. And things can become very, very difficult.
Yeah, then you get stuck in a bad back cycle, and then you're going to be behind on tempo, and it kind of snowballs from that, especially against Ruler and Lehends that throughout the entirety of summer have been the most punishing bot lane that we've had within the LCK by a very large margin.
Well, right now, it's going to be a 6 CS advantage for deokdam. Should extend a little bit as Ruler and Lehends coming back from a back. Nuguri tanking up turret shot here, feeling very happy on the Gragas, and honestly, if it's a top lane island, that is the happiest Nuguri you're going to get. Because he just would prefer it to remain a 1v1, as he's always extended as far as he can go.
And I just love how much he's harassing him on these range minions, trying to just chip away at him, trying to deny as many CS as he can. You know, at the end of the day, the sustain that is on the Camille is much lower than that of the Gragas, so you want to constantly take these trades. But we can see both junglers hovering down here around this bottom side.
Rift Herald at the ready for Canyon, so he can put a few plates into deokdam if he would like to. Kellin just shadowing over to the side. Canyon thinking about whether he wants to go for a dive or whether they just want to grab the plates and secure this one. Prowling projectile comes through. Vision not available here as Ruler. Slightly aggressive, but does manage to land that double up. That is a lot onto deokdam.
And I wonder whether the read from Damwon is, as Canyon is spending so much time in this bot lane here, that they expected Peanut to be here immediately. Peanut now has gone through a back, now making his way back over and is ready here to defend the turret.
Yep, Rift Herald to come down. Peanut's going to turn up. There is the Glacial Prison. Kellin getting taken down very, very low, but does have the heal and is able to keep himself alive. There is the charge from Shelly as Gen.G just back themselves away. They do manage to get the cleanse and the heal.
And in the end, much ado about nothing. Neither of these teams want to take the risk, and I think from Damwon, just getting the charge in is quite nice. Able to get even though it's a shared gold, give over gold towards that bot side of the map, as unsurprisingly, Chovy with the kill, currently leading in terms of gold on the map.
Yeah, and it's about a 600 gold advantage for deokdam there. They're looking here for Chovy.
Yeah, Chovy's going to get thrown back as Empress Divine is flashed by Chovy there. He's going to get the knock up as well. Permafrost is going to come through, but Canyon flashes out of the way. Now Peanut wanting to get the flash with the Winter's Wrath, but Canyon's not going to be going down here. And again, another scuffle, but no kills as Doran wants to change this one. Nuguri was not the target he was looking for, but he's going to accept it, at least for now, and Chovy gets his second.
Chovy's cancel there on that CC chain. Beautifully done. Nuguri tries to use the defensive ultimate from the Gragas. Very strong against the Camille, but he doesn't get the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Just locked down, and then even when he gets the ulti out there, Chovy just uses the Soul Unbound to immune it on the snapback.
Yeah.
Really, really well played here. Gen.G coming out on top in that skirmish and taking plates back here in that mid lane.
Gonna cancel Canyon's back here, as that is the decoy version.
Nuguri's here. Does have flash, but no cask.
Denies at least that plate. So Damwon here back on the map, and still in the lead, as they do have some CS advantages across the board.
And we again see this instinct from Damwon, I think very justifiably so, to try and look for plays, try and find anything aggressive as Lehends.
Yeah, Tidal Wave comes through, but there's the final chapter as well. The culling is going to come in. Oh, our buttons are just being pressed here on the bottom side as Peanut will turn up. Does he have one available? He absolutely does. And there it is. It's going to go wide as now Kellin is forced to flash. Bullet time. Ruler. He still had his ulti, but now Canyon's going to turn up. Warrior Trickster to get him forward. Gets the flash out of the MF. That is important, but Gen.G get another kill.
Yeah, they get another kill there. It is all 4 of the bot lane sums used from Gen.G, but they take down Kellin. had a great sidestep on the ulti there, but just couldn't create enough space, and they are threatening forward here, wanting to see if they can push Ruler off this farm, but aren't going to be able to do it.
And we again see Gen.G, so many of these baits. They know Damwon want to go in, they know Damwon want to look for plays, because in the later stage of the game, in this one, unless you immediately blow up Ruler, like between the Yone, the Camille, the Yuumi, it is so incredibly hard to find any opening. But Gen.G, read the play, respond carefully, and overall, Damwon is just unable to crucially snowball the lead that they have right now.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be so difficult to actually deal with Chovy later on in the game. When you have a Yuumi strapped on and he goes into the backline, that is going to be so frightening. There are some X factors that we can talk about, but a great sidestep here from Lehends, uses the heal, sidesteps to the side of that, and then deokdam is able to get a good culling down onto Ruler to chunk him down, and that's really what kicks off the fight.
But then the follow-up is, again, Peanut is early to the play. Even though he doesn't hit, his ultimate doesn't end up mattering, force the sums, and Ruler follows up. And then, crucially, Canyon doesn't actually have his ultimate here. If he does have it available, possibly they can burst down Ruler, maybe get a knock-up on Peanut, and snowball from there, but isn't the case. And I'm glad that you highlighted the Yone. Again, Chovy doesn't even have an item yet. And it's only going to be downhill from here. The moment that a 2-item spike is hit, I think for Damwon, I don't see how you're going to be able to actually get big wins unless Gen.G hugely overstep.
Well, Canyon going to avoid the Arctic Assault there. It's like ships in the night. The junglers pass each other.
I will say some of the X factors, the fact that they're, it is going to be Moonstone very likely here on Lehends, so there's going to be almost no magic damage here. So an armor stacking Gragas can be somewhat problematic.
True.
That can be pretty strong. You do have the ability to disengage and have fairly good lockdown. Azir as well, really does have some strong scaling. I agree, I favor the Gen.G draft, as it gets later in the game, because I think it's going to be tricky to deal with. But that being said, I do think Damwon have some options and have some playmaking of their own.
There is still so much engage power, and as we pointed out, the backline dive that's available for Damwon as well is still very strong. And to me, one of those X factors is also ShowMaker on the Azir here. Gone for the crown build, so very strong into the relatively short range, barring the bot side, as long as it can stay away from Ruler and Lehends, should get a lot of value out of that. But it is going to mean that the damage from Damwon Kia in these fights might not be enough, because I want to highlight again, as you pointed out, it's Moonstone. It's an early Mountain Drake as well for Gen.G, and thus far, one of the recurring themes in this game, or in this series rather, to me, has been Damwon tries to kill Gen.G and barely doesn't, and then they lose the fight, and then they lose the objective.
I think if you are a Damwon fan, you're hoping that the difference, between last game and this game is the fact that deokdam is in a much better spot, right?
Absolutely.
He was very behind at this point in the game last time around. Doran here in a bit of a bother.
Might have a bit of a fight as ShowMaker holds onto the ultimate for now. The Cyclone comes in, is now Peanut getting taken down extraordinarily low. Doran, he's just going to get taken off the board. Peanut kept alive by the kitty cat, but it does mean that Damwon Kia are able to lock down Shirley.
Really nicely done here from Damwon. Canyon, at first I was wondering, is he being a little bit too greedy going on to Peanut there instead of just securing the kill on Doran? But it turns out they have the exact right read. They kill off Doran, and they push out Peanut, forcing his flash as well, plus they get the Rift Herald. So an opportunity for a pretty big play here. Nuguri will have to play this safe, though.
And I think a big problem there was that Doran showed a little bit too early, maybe not quite in line with the rest of his team, because I think they were in a position to contest, but with Doran getting picked up and Peanut basically being forced to go in aggressively, not quite the circumstances that they were looking for. And now Damwon Kia get the mid lane turret and get a second charge as well, setting them up for a much better mid game, I think, and a lot more controlled than was the case last time around.
Yeah, we can just see it one more time. Canyon and Peanut scrapping it up. Doran gets spotted here, as he comes out onto Nuguri, looking for that fight, and Nuguri's like, sure, let's take it. ShowMaker is a lot closer, and all of a sudden it's just full-on retreat here for Gen.G, and as I said, Canyon is just waiting on a Peanut, pushing him out, and the ulti is there. In comes deokdam and Kellin. They have first move from mid lane. There's just not really much of an opportunity for Gen.G to contest.
Yep, not a lot of options. Fantastic work there from Damwon Kia to allow themselves to have even more momentum on this map. Now moving it towards that 2,000 gold lead that during this World Championship has been a pretty important breakpoint to get to.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty large win rate for that kind of a deficit or advantage.
And it has been, I believe, 95%, or at least going into yesterday, it was a 95% win rate if you were ahead at 2,000 gold at any point in the game through groups and play-ins, which was pretty astronomical.
Yep, T1 Game 2 may have changed that stat just a little bit, however, still going to be very, very high. So, Damwon Kia, not out of the woods just yet, but certainly doing much better this time as I say that, ShowMaker can have his crown broken.
And not care.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
chilling with
is.
the turret and everything.
He's happy. The crown is an item that I think, even though it's easy for both Ruler and Lehends to proc, in terms of side lane, I think helps out ShowMaker so much, playing into something like the Yone with the trading pattern that he has. And overall, this is where I think it's the scariest for Gen.G is maybe they get into deokdam.
deokdam just relentlessly escapes. It's absolutely fine. Peanut still had a pretty good angle there.
Yeah, it does force the Gale Force, so going to be happy about that. You know, gets the Gale Force down. And ShowMaker, anytime he has that crown up, you know, really can absorb the engage from Chovy.
Yeah.
But the issue is, of course, it's a 40-second cooldown, and it's a very low cooldown, you know, at this point in the game. You know, on Chovy Soul Unbound, it's only 13 seconds, so he can go in constantly. You poke that off once, and then you basically have to play safe for a full wave before you can really step up again.
Once again, Canyon getting a little bit excited. ShowMaker clearing out the wave where he can. Reset is going to be picked up here, though, so probably not going to have too much action.
And overall, we see Damwon doing the same thing they did in the first game, which is move around as a death squad. Look for people mispositioning, look for someone who maybe isn't in the right place at the right time, try and catch Gen.G in the rotation towards the lane. Chovy says, that's fine, I don't care, I'm not going to rotate, I'm just going to teleport towards top side to pick up a juicy wave. And it does want to go for the turret here. We do see Damwon move towards top side, but I don't think Chovy is really in any danger. And with the Drake coming up in 45 seconds, Damwon's got to start stacking those, because it's an LCK game. So we get, after what was a Infernal Rift in the previous game, finally, Atlas, your favorite dragon.
The revenge of the Cloud Soul, hoping that we've got 2 picked up by Gen.G and then 3 picked up by Damwon here, so I can maximize the amount of clouds. Hextech, way too much of that so far this world. It's got a lot of catching up to do. This is a great start.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it feels like for Damwon, it's not really the best soul in this one. You know, you're gonna get some value. I apologize. We'll work.
You were the one that was on my side, Azir.
I mean, move speed is highly valuable, but a lot of times when you're looking for the extra power, you know, it is going to be really good on Wukong, right?
Don't try to save it,
when I see champions like Renekton, when I see champions like Olaf, when I see champions like that, that's when you're actually pretty darn excited to think about getting that Cloud Soul. But you know, move speed always valuable. It's just not going to be one that I think Gen.G's that concerned about. So if Gen.G has the read that we win 5v5, you know, later on, if we have to wait for 2 or 3 items,
change.
They're just going to be chilling, waiting it out.
Yeah,
and I agree. I'm sorry, Atlas. I try to.
It's okay. It's okay.
No, I agree. The only one that I think have really or relatively high value would be deokdam and Canyon, but compare that to the raw attack power that you get from, I think, the Infernal Rift in particular, we saw didn't even get close to getting picked up last time around.
Or even Mountain Soul, right? Like if you get something like a Mountain Soul against Yone, as well as this Camille, as they're just pushing very heavily. They really want to force a response because Gen.G's been playing heavily towards sides. We can see Doran, again, up in that top lane, you know, just pushing out top lane, looking for that tier 2. So you need to now move towards Dragon or get something done here to really respond and force a response from your opponents.
Well, now it's coming through. As you can see, Damwon Kia slink off into the fog of war, looking to clear out some vision here where they can, but the Camille is absolutely fine. Chovy on the bottom side of the map could go for a dragon if he would like to, but instead there is a juicy turret. He wants the money. He'll pick that one up. And it's here once again on the push.
Yeah, it's just starting to feel like Damwon don't really have an answer, right? And they're not actually being able to effectively respond to these side lanes. They don't have winning side lanes. They're going for Lehends.
Yeah, if Lehends gets caught out, all of those side lane issues do kind of go away. So Damwon now just going to start off this Baron immediately from over the wall. ShowMaker going to be able to do that. Doran, can he allow Peanut to have the space to get in? As ShowMaker off towards the side, Nuguri over the wall. He needs to get Peanut out of the pit. This could just be the 50-50. There's a phenomenal bubble. He gets in. Oh, Peanut steals it away. He's not going to escape, but they'll say thanks for the leash and Gen.G secure Baron.
And it's an absolute disaster for Damwon Kia after a really big pickup on the Yuumi. Chovy doesn't have TP. He's not even. Well, Chovy doesn't have TP, so they rush towards Baron. And if they get that, you're in a great position, but instead, they don't get Baron, they don't get Drake. What do you do?
It's the backbreaker there from Gen.G. It started to feel like Damwon just didn't have an answer to the side lanes. There was these heavily pushing side lanes from the Yone and the Camille just dominating that shove, and it felt like Damwon are just grouped up looking for a 5v5 that was never going to happen. So they get one pick and they say, all right, we've got the one pick. it's time to go towards Baron. And while Damwon decides to try to look and turn and fight, this is actually a brilliant ulti from Ruler that forces the 50-50. Ruler comes in, just drops the ulti, and now it doesn't matter that you're not hitting the Baron. The MF ulti is enough. 939 there. I think that was an auto plus the smite coming through is enough to secure it, and that's just a beautiful play between Peanut and Ruler.
Because you can see that the entirety of Damwon knows this as well and drop aggro. As Peanut's like,
That's a happy Peanut, right?
He's like, oh yeah.
oh, Lehends is like, sorry guys.
Thank you for
from the
saving
death
me.
chamber. Perfect. And Score as well. Score has certainly had a few times in that Baron pit that we prefer not to mention, as there's a shutdown onto Canyon. Chovy picks that one up. That's his third of the game. And that is Gen.G now with a gold lead.
It is all going wrong, and when you look at the items, it even gets worse.
Final chapter is invested in as well here, as that's a phenomenal bubble, but not going to be followed up upon. As Damwon now backing away. Ruler, a lot of damage to this turret now as he has those two items put together. Peanut, Arctic Assault, but Nuguri with a very well-placed blast cone. Well, not well-placed, but well-used. And will be able to get himself out. This turret, not long for the world though, and Gen.G just starting to stack up this Red Bull Baron power play. Almost 3k now. Hextech ultimatum towards the bottom side. Cask is going to be used to try and get him out of there, as now Doran still underneath this turret. Chovy does lock down the killers. Now Doran's just going to walk it out. Hookshot going to be enough. And deokdam, he cannot overextend. The rest of the cavalry has arrived. Flash forward for Canyon, but the Cyclone is splashed out of the way. A phenomenal knockup comes in, and Ruler's going to lock down the kill. The turret not long for the world, as the MF does so much damage. Peanut nails the ult onto Kellin. It does not stop, gentlemen, and it's a double kill here for Ruler.
And that might just be game again. Damwon a conga line in, and Gen.G says, thank you very much. We have Yuumi, we have Bloodthirster, Shield Bow, we have all the sustain that we could possibly be looking for. And at least Damwon hold on to their base, but overall, it's just a disaster for them.
I mean, Gen.G's team play has just been incredible. The way they have peeled apart Damwon in this game, despite the better early game, from the Damwon bot lane, despite a lot of things going well for them in the early stages. Chovy and Doran have just been such massive threats in the side lane. They make this one look easy. This is not even a particularly well-coordinated dive here, let's be honest. And Nuguri is very, very tanky, but there's nowhere for him to go. And the response is just slightly too slow from deokdam.
And then next up, Canyon tries to maybe get Ruler, but with a flash available, immediate flash, exhaust comes down, Canyon just gets taken down as well. And if ShowMaker's there to get Ruler after the flash, then maybe. But I also want to highlight, ShowMaker in this game has gone for a very split push / sideline oriented build, has gone for the Nashor's Tooth, which in a 1v1 feels great, but in these type of team fight scenarios, gonna get a lot less value out of that. And here we see Gen.G taking over complete control of the game. And if that Baron had gone the other way, we might be looking at a completely different game.
And I mean, I think ShowMaker here, with Conqueror, with the Nashers, is hoping he can really punch through those frontliners, but it's so tough with all the threat on him in this 5v5. Yeah, exactly. You don't really have the time to get enough autos out because there's so many members diving into that backline. There's the MF ulti threat as well, and Gen.G just feel like they are unleashed on the map. There is nowhere safe to go for Damwon now. They just have to huddle up in their base and hope that they can find some sort of an opening for a great engage.
Yeah, exactly right. You had a look at the gold lead there, very reminiscent of the last game's gold grab, right? Like, there was that time for Damwon, but the Ruler ending that we talk about in Korea is definitely something that happens around the 25-minute mark in their more recent games. It used to be later than that. Now it is coming up much earlier. 23 seconds on this Cloud Drake, as I think Gen.G might be able to just lock down the soul point and then push this one forward. And yeah, these numbers, like, this is exactly the two players on this Gen.G roster that you never want getting money.
Absolutely, and Yone is a very big spike at 2, but this is not a champion that falls off later on in the game.
No.
This champion scales to infinity, so it is so concerning how strong Chovy is in this game, and you can see Doran already threatening that flank, was spotted by ShowMaker, so maybe there's some sort of an opportunity to look for a pick play, but I think Damwon don't have any confidence to walk in towards the Dragon, so they're just going to try to get mid lane prio, maybe get some vision out around Baron, and hope they can maybe catch Gen.G moving up to try to check into them.
Yeah, and Peanut, he can face check. He's so extraordinarily tanky, so Canyon not going to be able to start anything, but Damwon do have them by the short hairs a little as they push up. They should be able to take this inhibitor turret.
I like it. Bounty
They set up this Sun Disc, exactly right. Bounty Gold is going to come through. Teleport to come forward as Peanut over to the side. He can Arctic Assault, but he's going to do that more defensively here as Gen.G looking for an inhibitor. Sort of turning the play on Gen.G here for a moment.
And what a wonderful move here by Gen.G. Get themselves an inhibitor effectively for free. Still need to actually get the exit, but it looks like they will be able to. And even though, well, I mean, even
they're gonna bait. They're gonna bait.
Oh my God. Are there, yeah, there's a blue trinket available for Ruler though.
Gen.G just sort of caught off tempo here a little bit. Gen.G do try to attack the Sejuani though, and that is definitely the target that can survive that. Peanut is going to face check once again as Canyon not wanting to ulti or anything like that. Oh, still not the target that they want to go into. And I think Peanut was just sort of auto-attacking while he was walking away, and Canyon took more damage than the Sejuani. As yes, there's a large minion wave now breaking the bottom side of their base. Side lanes have been given up on here by Gen.G. They did get an inhibitor though.
I mean, I think it's 100% the correct choice, right? You know, people are going to make fun of him for not playing sides, but they cannot match sides here at all. They've got to find a 5v5. They're going to get outscaled. Got to look for it now.
Yeah, well, there's the Glacial Prison. It's going to slow them up as Unbound Soul pulls Chovy back. A lot of buttons have been pressed on both sides, but Gen.G going to be happy about this.
And here you see the core issue that Doran is running into. It's that Peanut, especially with the Yuumi on top of his back, is immovable.
On the flank.
Yeah, 100% in he goes. Oh my goodness, deokdam flashing himself out. Doran may have overextended here as Canyon's clone is going to get smacked down. Great stopwatch to be used, but it's not enough here for the Camille. Doran goes down and now deokdam trying to free hit. He gets the ultimate, but he pulls himself back out again once again with the Soul Unbound. Once again, deokdam going to get engaged on, but the answer is going to be there. Taken down very low, and Ruler is at full health, ladies and gentlemen. This is a huge problem for Gen.G now moving back. They managed to get the pick off onto the Camille, but it's not quite enough, and Chovy, he's splitting once again.
Chovy's healing up. He can look for a threat in here. He should have the Soul Unbound back, and Gen.G still have got to escape here.
Yep, he's now looking for the blast, gets himself out of the way. All right, Canyon now trying to escape, but it's the Yuumi that locks him down of all people. ShowMaker standing his ground, moving forward. A lot of damage here. Locks down Ruler. How the heck does he do it? It's turn it around.
ShowMaker turns around the fight, diving in, finishes off Ruler. When it looked like Gen.G had it all wrapped up.
Because in these longer fights, that's where the sustain comes in. That's where the Yuumi is most powerful. That's where you see Chovy be able to sustain off of a single wave. But they make one misstep, and Doran at the very least keep himself in the game. Overall game state, I think, still very rough for them, but the fact that they keep themselves alive here, absolutely insane.
It was massive, and I've got, oh my God, again.
All right, well, now we're going to look for Nuguri, who is now in the pen. Doesn't necessarily want to be there. Chovy exits. And now Tidal Wave going to be used. Blast Cone was available, so Kellin looks a little bit silly, but if he had have tried to walk his way out instead of using that, it would have been a good move.
And we can see, you know, Nuguri is definitely a tanky boy, and Doran just a little bit disjointed. I mean, look at Chovy on the side. He's prepping his Q on the Wolves. There have been a few engages here from Gen.G that did look a little bit kind of not really coordinated. And on this one, they got punished massively. Chovy is still not there. Even in the 4v5, it's still close as Chovy finds a massive ult turnaround.
And at this point, it looks like a disaster for Gen.G, right? Because they go in immediately, really nicely done, exhaust on deokdam so he doesn't burst down Ruler. We see that in addition to that, Peanut using his flash to keep the Lucien down. You see these health bars, you see Chovy sustaining, you're like, what can they do?
Yeah.
Like how are they going to get out here?
But look at this blast cone. The timing on the blast cone from ShowMaker was beautiful. That's one board back to live as it's looking for an engager from Peanut. Nuguri is going to have to back it up.
Yep, not going to be able to find the Glacial Prison there as Peanut has thrown a few of them around, but honestly, it's non-committal CC. Doesn't need to worry about it too much. As this inhibitor still dead for another 50 seconds, but that should be coming back up pretty soon for Gen.G as Ruler taking a lot of damage. Gonna have to be careful as the ulti comes through from Chovy. Bullet time comes in as well. Not as high value as it could have otherwise been as Chovy gets himself out. His soul rebound once again. as Damwon should be able to deny the soul here.
Yeah, it's going to be their dragon. Gen.G are not able to find the engage there. It only connects on Canyon. The MF ulti not very effective, and they're trying to mark the Baron as well, making sure that Gen.G are not rushing it.
They still have bounties, right? They're still getting gold. Damwon have been making these plays while behind in gold, and overall, we see, even with Gen.G getting leads in terms of itemization, some of the engage is not quite working out, and maybe Gen.G getting a little bit nervous because once you make a second, third play and they don't work out, the momentum swing can be absolutely huge.
And we have to remember, despite the fact that Gen.G was so dominant this year, it hasn't always been smooth sailing for these players in their careers. Chovy has yet to actually advance past the quarterfinals. He has been a part of many incredible teams that haven't quite lived up to the expectations. And this is something that can really weigh on your minds in these moments. If something starts to go a little bit wrong, you can really feel the pressure in these situations.
So many of these players only very recently claimed their first domestic title. Chovy, Ruler, he became a world champion, and then for years wasn't able to domestically secure it. I know, it's absolutely
insane.
Yeah. And so, Gen.G, let's see whether they can hold on to this one. And to your point, Azael, it's Gen.G versus Damwon. Gen.G gapped the entire LCK, but it was always very close against Damwon. Even when Nuguri wasn't there, even in spring, it still went the distance.
Even with Hoya and Bertel, two players that had a lot more faults. Nuguri, especially once he really got more comfortable within the team, has been very, very successful. Do love this. Goes back to what you were saying earlier, Zil. Draw open the map, avoid these 5v5s, and use your 1v1 and your side laning power.
I mean, they're just not even playing sides at all, right? They've completely given up on side lanes. They're going to group 5. Now, as soon as Doran shows bot, they have got to pull back and respond, or they've got to flip Baron, right? So you've got to make your choices. And they decide they're at least going to push out sides again. And then I think it's just right back, rinse and repeat. They push out the sides. They're going to group 5. They're going to try to deny vision, look for picks here. That is the game plan. And for Gen.G, it's about establishing enough vision that you know that they can't actually get a major objective, and then slowing down the game so you can draw them apart and really deny that 5v5 death ball that it feels like Damwon is looking for.
Yep, Doran doing a great job here towards the bottom side, making sure that Nuguri has to try and answer him in the 1v1. This is the point of the game that Gen.G are very strong. Like you were talking about, Canyon facing down Peanut once again, who is extraordinarily tanky, finds the point-blank ult, but it's just the clone. Canyon gets himself out. He's absolutely fine with the Warrior Trickster availability. Peanut can probably just rinse and repeat on that particular play, buying space for his team.
But overall, deokdam goes forward. We do see that Damwon, even though there is still a slight gold lead for Gen.G, it's basically become irrelevant. It's all about execution here. So we're getting deeper and deeper into the game, and Gen.G just doesn't seem to be able, even with the power that they have, to crucially crack open Damwon.
Yeah, crazy thing as well is deokdam has an item lead over Ruler right now. He's sitting on 4, Ruler wanting to go for that reset so he can retain parity in the items. Will be able to go back and now has that Infinity Edge complete, has the rapid fire done as well. Still with that broken stopwatch, wants that GA for the final one, but now at least is on the same page outside of his clock being broken.
And I think really what Gen.G is waiting for is all of the GAs to come through. They already have one on Chovy, they're building one on Doran. The last item is going to be a GA as well on Ruler, especially when you get it on your divers. When you have double GA for Doran and Chovy, they can throw themselves into that backline with reckless abandon and really create space for Ruler to run over the fight. And I think that is the spike that these guys are waiting for.
There's also no immediate clock on Gen.G. They have a very strong scaling comp. Oh, they're going to try and force response from Damwon here.
All right, well, let's just try and kill the base, I guess. They've got so much damage on these structures. Damwon here should be able to move their way over, though. And Chovy, he's going to walk it out. Was a little bit later than the rest of his team. Made us a little bit anxious, but it's going to be okay.
So what happens? They got a turret.
Hey, they got an inhibitor turret. That's huge, Chronicle. I don't know what you're talking about.
Is it Atlas?
Absolutely.
We really went from one of the most chaotic games I've seen to 16 kills at 37 minutes.
Remember,
just the way we like it.
I'm pretty sure Damwon had the longest game in the LCK this year.
They did.
I think it was against Fred at Brion, a team that did not necessarily perform the best. And Gen.G are Gen.G. They go without saying when it comes to long games. So now Gen.G going to pull off the Baron. It's going to be discovered. The rest of Gen.G still in the area. Playing with vision here a little bit, but once again, nothing going to happen.
And Doran did finish his GA, so this is that spike that I was talking about where I think Gen.G now will feel more confident to take some risks on the map. You can see, again, it's back to the side lanes. You know, I'm kind of becoming a bit of a broken record, but Damwon have no options to answer it, so now they're just going to say, all right, it's time to flip Baron.
Flip it again!
Yeah, you have to force the flip. Chovy just going to try and walk his way over, but realizes that's not going to get him there soon enough. Glacial Prism with the fade away does a fair bit of work here for Peanut, but they're not wanting to commit to it just yet. This pincer maneuver from Gen.G could be terrifying. Canyon still trying to keep himself safe, and they have the phalanx built up. Doran spots out Nuguri there with his sweeper available, and they've held on to the Baron. Now it's Gen.G in the pit. Can ShowMaker make it happen as Chovy gets in, gets immediately out again? Now Peanut trying to protect his carries. Doran hook shotting. Nuguri goes in, there's the body slam. ShowMaker! Oh my God! The 3-net Empress Divide. The shutdown to come through as well immediately. Deokdam's gonna die, and now it's Chovy's turn, but is it going to be enough? Is the question. Doran flashes the double knockup. Oh no, it's not enough. And now Canyon coming through. Doran still has his, and that is going to be, I believe, the ace now completed for Gen.G.
Teleporting towards bots.
Oh my goodness, no, ShowMaker is still, sorry, Nuguri is still alive. And Chovy not going to be able to spot him, so they can't end. Back towards it, gentlemen. It's just a calm LCK versus LCK.
They may not be able to end, but they can get Soul here. Doran is heading there, so is Chovy. It was the GAs that made the difference in that one. They had the double GA. Chovy's able to come back alive. Nuguri knows that he's going to be back up, so he can't actually continue the fight. ShowMaker very nearly took over the game there. So close to being able to turn that one around, but deokdam was killed off on the other side. The Lucien could not survive the fight.
And you also see that even though Gen.G have multiple extremely strong late-game damage threats, for Damwon, it's much harder.
Yeah. Let's have a look at it again.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the Yuumi ultimate was used very, very early, and then Doran, again, a little bit disjointed. A great Q from Peanut actually slowed this down, but then the flash in from ShowMaker connects on 4. But look at Chovy on the other side. Gets into the back line, deletes the Lucien, and that's really what saved the fight.
Because with Lucien still up, you can win this fight, and you can end the game as Damwon Kia as we're fighting yet again.
Yeah, that's Cyclone down now for Canyon. Not entirely sure how that all happened as we're trying to catch up with ourselves here, but I believe no flashes were necessary. As Chovy, Soul's unbound. He's going to be fine. I don't know why I was getting excited, guys.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Calm down, Atlas, please.
Classic Yone thing.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
You're good.
But Chovy, full build.
Oh,
look at the damage, the
God.
battle between these two mid laners, ShowMaker and Chovy, trying to be the X factors here. ShowMaker still has room to grow, you know, still has that last slot where he could get towards a death cap, but Chovy is full build.
Yeah, and he's also like 90 CS down is ShowMaker. This guy has been playing on the back foot all game, but Azir in the late game, definitely. And ShowMaker, Playmaker, of course, as Kobe dubbed earlier on in the tournament, this guy has been clutch when it counts. And that's why we were so disappointed in game 1, right? But this time, showing up.
Oh, and on the other end, we already highlighted how important the GAs were. Doran still has his, but look at Damwon Kia. We see that Canyon building towards one as well.
Yeah.
deokdam currently sitting on one. And with everything that has happened,
Yeah, Baron's
still
still
feels
alive.
Like, well, Baron's alive. We might even get a opportunity as
Oh my
God.
Yeah,
That's revolting.
Yeah, that's a
doesn't
very
matter.
strong Yone.
Who cares?
Yeah, we'll just take the leash, I guess, says Damwon Kia. Peanut says, I'm here, I'm the jungler. By the way, please stop. And Damwon say no. Now Chovy gets the knockup onto Nuguri, who body slams to get himself out. Chovy now has to get back. deokdam thinks it's his angle to get on in, but the GA that he recently purchased is just going to get smacked down. Now Canyon trying to turn it, but Chovy just hits him, and that is going to be the play. The top side is being taken down. Now Doran trying to dive forward. He's still got the GA. Empress Divide defensive, but not enough as Ruler just says goodbye to ShowMaker, and Gen.G will claim the ace, the triple kill for the MF, and this should be game 2.
And it might have been so close for so long, but in the end, it is a clean ace for Gen.G. An overstep from Damwon Kia trying to find an angle. They need to take risks in this later stage of the game, and it doesn't work out.
God. The damage from ShowMaker not going to be enough here as Gen.G will break open the base. Their composition, fantastic. And now a celebratory MF ult as the bullet time flies through. The Nexus will go down now. Match point for Gen.G.
What a battle, though, between these two teams here.
That man on your screen right there, ShowMaker, certainly going to be feeling it at this point in time, but he played so well, especially the later stages.
He absolutely did, and Damwon, really seemed to turn it up once the pressure was on. They were able to really force Gen.G